Ever since Ocarina of Time, companions have been pretty much a mainstay in the Zelda series. Some have been really nicely woven into the story, and others are just nothing but a constant interruption to your gameplay. So today we're going to rank every Legend of Zelda companion. What's going on, guys? It's Ryan here from Game Essays. On this channel we like to cover a lot of popular Nintendo series such as The Legend of Zelda and Pokemon. Of course, we mix some other series in there as well, but if you like the content, please make sure to like and subscribe. It definitely goes a long way. But today we are looking at Zelda companions, and we're going to rank them tier list style. So these are essentially the characters that help you on your playthrough. It started in Ocarina of Time. I think a lot of the thought behind that was 3D games were so new and they felt there needed to be some sort of help system, as this was such a new thing to people that maybe it would be easier for them to get lost and stuff like that. And sometimes it wasn't as straightforward as something like Mario 64, where it was a little bit easier to kind of like figure some of the stars out at least. Whereas Zelda, there's, more puzzles. Sometimes it's not as obvious what you have to do. So companions kind of came into the light. So we're going to be looking at a couple aspects. Helpfulness, not necessarily the biggest factor. It's more of the character and whether or not, I guess, they're annoying. I think that's a big thing. I mean, Navi has become a meme for a reason. And why don't we start out with Navi? I really think that it kind of kills me to do it, but you know what? I think Navi definitely goes in the C tier. I was considering D, but I would say, I played through Ocarina of Time more times than any other Zelda game. And she honestly doesn't interrupt you. Yes, you'll get the little ping alert a lot, but if you just kind of plow through the game, she actually doesn't interrupt you that much. Obviously the hey, listen thing can be annoying at times, but it's really only at the very beginning of the game that she interrupts you a lot, like when you try to climb on the vines in the Deku Tree or try to open a door. But after that, she definitely chills out, and it's kind of been memified to hell. So I can't, in good faith, I cannot give Navi a D because I think it's a little bit overblown how much she interrupts you. But the reason she's at a C is because, I think they just got a lot better with how they handled companions. She was the first one, but I'm not going to have the nostalgia or the iconicness or whatever kind of rank her higher than she needs to be because she's just kind of a guide, doesn't really have much personality, so I think it's fine at a C. Now, when we talk about Fi or Fi, I feel like Fi, I feel like it has to be a D. And I know there's a lot of people that love Skyward Sword and they don't mind Fi, but she is the ultimate interrupter. When you meme about companions interrupting you, there is no better example than Fi. It's just constant. You just want to play the game, and it just keeps happening, and it keeps happening. And they try to do a story arc with her, kind of being more, real, understanding more about humans, becoming, more human or herself or whatever at the end. But it's too little too late by that point. They don't have enough of hints of that throughout the story. I feel like they dropped the ball. There was potential there to make it mean something more. And for anyone who says that they did a good job with that character, I feel like you're just letting the music in the moment suck you in, because Fi's music is actually really, really good, but we're not rating the music. So that goes out the window. I know sometimes the music can make you feel things that you don't always want to feel, but Fi's music is excellent. If it was a music tier list, different story, but you almost get sucked into that moment because the music's so good when she's I understand you humans more and all that stuff, but they dropped the ball. Don't kid yourself. Okay, Limebeck. Limebeck gets an A. Couple reasons. First of all, he's a hilarious and fun character. Second of all, he sticks to his boat most of the time. Like, he shows up for story moments, and there's some great ones, like with Zelda's, when Zelda's like a frozen statue and he accidentally knocks her over. Limebeck's just a really fun character. He's this huge coward, and like, he doesn't, he's afraid of everything. He just wants treasure. He's running away from his ex-girlfriend. He's just a ton of fun, and he's not like your main companion, because we'll get to her. So, the interrupting stuff, it's not really there. So he's someone who's by your side the whole, most of the game, every time you're on the boat or go back, you're leaving and entering a new island and everything. So it's nice, like, you get a nice amount of character from him throughout the game, and he's not like overbearing at all. So for that reason, he gets an A. I don't think he quite reaches S tier. I don't think there's enough there for S tier, but definitely I think A. So Limebeck's awesome. No problem putting him at A. So Ciela, I pronounced her name totally wrong in my Phantom Hourglass review, but Ciela, I think, is just a straight up, I'll give her a B. She doesn't interrupt a ton, a little bit of story or whatever, just kind of there. You know what? I would say a C. Like, a little bit above Navi. Just not memorable. I kind of like totally forgot about her until I recently played Phantom Hourglass. I was like, oh yeah, Limebeck's your companion. I totally forgot about Ciela. I don't think she's memorable enough to kind of hit B tier, so I'll leave her at C. So those two were both from Phantom Hourglass if you guys haven't played that game. Now, Eslo is from the Minish Cap on Game Boy Advance, and I would say Eslo is definitely, like, I feel very comfortable saying Eslo is B. I think it's a good mix of, he was a wizard who got turned into this, this being by Vati, who's the main villain of that game, and then he kind of becomes your hat. And originally, this was supposed to be the origin of Link's hat, but then Skyward Sword changed all that. But anyway, I think he's fun. Like, his power or whatever is what is able to turn you into a Minish, and he's, useful in the way, like, I think you use him almost like a wind sail or whatever when you go over like gusts of wind and stuff. But he's like, he's a fun character. He's not anything crazy, but I think he's a lot more memorable and plays into the story a little bit more than, Ciela or Navi or something like that. So I think he's a solid B. Now we have Zelda from Spirit Tracks, and I would actually say this is S tier. Now, I love the fact that, so I forget that it's been a long time since I played Spirit Tracks. I forget the exact circumstances, but it's something with, Chancellor Cole or whatever. Zelda is either killed or, like, I don't know, sealed. Some crazy thing happens to her, and she, her spirit leaves her body. I forget the exact circumstances, like I said, but then she is your companion for the game. So it's really cool to actually have Zelda with you the entire game. It's kind of something, Zelda usually shows up like 3 times in a game, and you always wish there was like a little bit more. I love that Spirit Tracks, Zelda's like with you the whole game, so it's really cool. And not only is it fun to just have Zelda's character with you, but you actually get some, like, she's useful in the way that in the Tower of Spirits, like, she can take over like the Phantom Guards and everything. So there is a total function to her as well. So I think it's a good mix of both character and like usefulness as a companion. So I really like how they used Zelda's character for Spirit Tracks, and I think that's definitely in S tier. Now we have King of Red Lions from Wind Waker, and I think King of Red Lions is A tier. He's a badass king character who, shows up Ganondorf at the end of the game, but, usefulness, obviously he's a boat, he functioned like his magic or whatever. Like, I'm pretty sure he's just chilling in Hyrule actually the whole game, but like his magic or whatever, he's able to kind of, take control of this boat and help Link throughout the adventure. But again, minimal interruptions. Sometimes he does call to you in that like stone thing that Tetra gives you. I think he's able to use that. But again, minimal interruptions. And when he does give you information, it's, going to and from locations. It's not like interrupting your gameplay. So that's, obviously the whole interrupting thing is a big factor for me. I think King of Red Lions is solid. He's a good combination of telling he tells a lot of exposition about the story and everything that's going on, but it's usually pretty interesting. He tells you like what you need to do next, and then is very integral to the story, the whole, and everything about like Hyrule beneath the ocean. So I think he is another great companion character. Tattle from Majora's Mask, I would have at probably a B tier. I think a lot of people do really like Tattle. I think she's okay. Again, it's been a bit since I played Majora's Mask, so maybe you guys would, have an argument for why she should be higher. But I think definitely better than Navi. At first she doesn't really like you, but she gets separated from Tail. And they, obviously she doesn't like trust you right away. So there's just a little bit more character there and like her kind of growing to appreciate Link more. So there's kind of like a bond that grows throughout the game. So I think that is, that's a much, a vast improvement from Navi and Ocarina of Time. It's, she was the initial companion that they decided to put a little bit more behind than just have it be this kind of character that, and not even a character, just kind of this help system that exists. So I think Tattle was a good start to that. And then lastly, we have Midna. And I think Midna has to be the absolute top of the top for S tier. I would put her even, above Zelda and say that, yeah, Midna is the best companion that they've done. And I'm glad that they've kind of moved away from the companion in, Breath of the Wild doesn't have one, obviously. So that's why that's not included in this. So, because I think they pretty much peaked at Midna, and, obviously Fi was a big downgrade in the next 3D Zelda. And yeah, so I think Midna you always look at as kind of like the best that they've done for companion. And I'm not sure that they could top it, and, they would have to, I don't know. I just don't think they could top it, and I'm glad they've just moved away from it, is pretty much what I'm saying. Unless somehow Zelda's your companion again in Breath of the Wild 2, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. But what makes Midna a great companion is I think it is the best combination that they've done as being a great character that's, obviously very important to the story of the game while also being a good companion. And, she has like a funny attitude, and yeah, it's a good mix of fun character, important to the story. You actually care about her. Everyone remembers like, taking, when she gets whatever, like Zant messes with her and you have to take her to, to get fixed or whatever, to like heal, like all that stuff, Midna's Lament or whatever. I think that's what the song's called, but there's a lot of great moments with her as a character. And of course, when she's able to go to her true form at the end of the game. Yeah, it's just a super well done character. Really great part of the actual story. And, she's not too annoying as a companion. So I really like Midna, and I think she is the best companion. So that is all of the Legend of Zelda companions. definitely let me know what your favorite companions were. If you have some issues with my list, like I said, there's a couple of games where it's been a little while, but if you guys have seen my review series for Zelda, I've done 2 games so far, Phantom Hourglass and Wind Waker. You know I'm going to be going through every single game, so maybe my opinions will change on this, and I'll address it in a future video. But definitely, if you want more Zelda content, I just put out that Wind Waker review. It's up on the channel now. It's a pretty in-depth review, and you'll see the kind of scoring system I'm doing for every Zelda game. And we're going to go through every single one and, eventually build a list based on this ranking system. And we'll see how that turns out. It's going to be a long project. By the time I even get close to finishing, I guarantee you Breath of the Wild 2 will be out by then. So that'll be a part of the series eventually. Anyway, make sure to like the video if you liked it. Leave a sub if you want to see more of this kind of content, and let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.